Peace and blessings. Welcome to my channel. My name is Taj Utsi. I'm a certified financial coach, also the founder of TRU Financial Coaching, where our mission here is to educate, enlighten, and equip individuals with the financial literacy that is necessary in order to get off of the rat wheel. As I often say, the rat wheel is when one is constantly financing things that go down in value for them, but up in value for the banks at the same time. One is constantly financing these depreciating objects, then they continue to keep that rat wheel in motion. It's not until when one wakes up and realizes that they are the rat that's powering the wheel, then they can do what it takes to get off of the rat wheel by investing in themselves, making a plan to get out of debt, and then begin to build wealth. Then they can be free to do what they want when they want instead of having to do the things that they don't want. Today I just came on. It's a live, first time going live. Just wanted to try it out, see what this was about. Never did it before, so hopefully it's working pretty good. But and just come on here just to share some of my thoughts and my experiences being in the rat wheel, in the rat race, and how I got out. And just with this channel, just to, like we said, educate and enlighten individuals that know there's something wrong, but they just can't put their finger on it. And that's how I was for years in the rat race. Knew something was wrong, didn't know what was wrong. I thought it was something outside of me, but then I realized that I was the one that was making my financial situation the way that it was. But wasn't, like I said before, it wasn't until COVID where I had a lot more time to sit and think. And like I said, knew something was wrong, just couldn't put my finger on it. Began doing some research on debt, financial independence, financial freedom, and came across Dave Ramsey. But coming across Dave Ramsey, that was the so-called the spark that got me going. Saw some of his teachings and some of his lessons about how debt is bondage and the borrower is servant to the lender. And just listening to the things that he was saying, it made sense. Made sense. And as I listened more and listened more, I then just began to apply what his teachings were to my financial life. So started by creating a budget, saved $1,000, as he says. And from there, I just started attacking my debt using the debt snowball strategy. And along the way, there were some setbacks. And like I said, even with the saving of $1,000, I remember once I got that saved, it was like, okay, that was good, because out of all the years that I've been teaching or working, I did at one point, I had like a whole lot of money saved at one point, and this was when I was still probably living in my mom's. Just I think I just graduated college, just graduated Temple, so I was still living at home. So I was able to save a lot of money, and I think at that time, this was probably back in maybe 2001, 2002, probably. Yeah, like in that around that time, because I had graduated Temple University in like 2000. And like in 2001, like I said, I was living at my mom's and just started working as a teacher in 2000, September 2000. So around that time, between 2000 and 2002, I was able to save like a little over $20,000. And, it's something, because it wasn't that difficult for me to save that amount of money. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially at that age, in your late teens, early 20s, like you're really free. You really are free because there's not a lot of debt that you have. If you're living at home, you can save more, and that's really good if you're living at home, especially if your parents they don't have no problem with you living at home. Yeah, you give them some money just to show, look, here's something, thank you. And that's what I was doing. I was saving my money, giving my mom money for things around the house. Whatever bills that I'm paid, I pay everything. I was paying it just the cable bill. But a lot of people, young people especially, they in a hurry to get out the house, and I get it, depending upon the circumstance. But if you're able to stay at home with your parents while you're working and saving money, or if you even graduate to college and you have student loan debt, I would highly recommend you do that. Stay at home, give your parents something, pay off whatever little bit of debt you may have, if it's a student loan debt, and or if you don't have any debt at that age, you can just stack your bread, save your money, invest into something, because it's never too early to start to do that, especially if you have no debt. You stack your bread, get a nice emergency fund built up at that age, and then begin to invest. And when you do that, you'd be surprised how quick that money will add up. And that's what happened with me when I was in my early 20s, 2000, 2002, 2000, yeah, early 2002, because I got married in October 2002. But prior to that, I was able to save my money because I was living at home. I did have student loan debt. I was paying the bare minimum on that, and I didn't know, but I could have just easily knocked out that student loan debt at that time because I had the money, but I didn't know. And I knew I owed the money, of course, but I was just following the program that, okay, I just make the minimum payment on that, not knowing that, look, you make minimum payments on that student loan, that's like making a minimum payment on a credit card. And over the course of time, that's going to compound. That interest is going to compound. Just like I was saying the other day in one of the other videos about Albert Einstein and how he said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who does not pays it. And that's what happened with me. I was on the not understanding it, and I was paying it because at that time when I had the maybe it might have been like $18,000 worth of student loan debt in my early 20s, which I could have easily just paid off, but I didn't wasn't thinking. I wasn't taught. I knew I owed, though. That's no excuse. Ignorance is not an excuse. But had I known better, I could have did better. Even though I was making payments on it, it was just little payments, the minimum. And as a result, that compound interest, that negative compound interest, so to say, worked against me, because then years later, like 20 some years later, I was still had the student loans. But when the more you know, the better you can do. So yeah, at that age, in your 20s and whatnot, early 20s, and you living at home, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you working towards something. And a lot of individuals will make you feel shame because you're still living at home with your parents. But if you have a plan, and that living at home with your parents is a part of that plan to get out of debt, then there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So, but yeah, as I was saying, when I was going through my journey of getting out of debt, like I said, I had some setbacks, and one of the setbacks was saving that $1,000. I got that up real quick, but it's like as soon as I saved it, boom, something happened. something happened with my car. And when that thing happened with my car, it was like whatever happened, I forget what, I think it was something, the engine, something happened. I forget. But the amount to get it fixed was like a 990 some dollars, which like wiped out that whole emergency fund of $1,000. So, but I was thankful that I had the money and I got the work done, and I just didn't let that stop me. Just got back on board and saved $1,000 up again, moved forward, then from there was able to stick with my budget and stick with my budget, and got out of debt using the debt snowball. Knocked out a lot of my debts using the debt snowball. Like I said in another video some time ago, I had like 9 debts totaling up to over $120,000, but was able to knock off the first few debts real quick, and those were my 403b. As a school teacher, I had 403b. I have a 403b, and I had loans out on that. I had like 3 loans out on that, but I was able to knock those 3 loans out easily. And like I was saying in another video about the 401k, 403b loans, that I was constantly borrowing from my future, constantly borrowing from my 403b loans and my 403b and borrowing against that. And I was using the money just to take care of things that I didn't plan for, or not necessarily didn't plan for, but because I didn't have understanding of money management, didn't have understanding of the budget, didn't have understanding of having a savings. I was just living paycheck to paycheck. I was just paying my bills and then not being aware of where my money was going after my bills were paid, just spending, not giving every dollar a job. And as a result, I found myself always like in a negative a lot. I found myself just doing dumb stuff, And like I said, I would have to take out loans from my retirement accounts, not realizing how, as I said before, I was stunting the growth of the interest that I was earning, would have been earning, stunting that. So I was just constantly taking out loans with my 403b. I had, like I said, I only had 3 of them, but if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. I would have had a emergency fund already and going from there. But those 3 loans I was able to knock out. And I had actually paid them off during COVID. When COVID was going on, there was a lot of loosened stipulations with retirement accounts and also with student loans. So I was able to knock that out. I had some past due utility bills. I was behind on those, so I was able to catch up with that. And that's another thing. Like when you don't have control of your finances, it's just going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess, and it's just going to be your everyday things like electricity, water. You're always getting shut off notices. You're always just scared to open your mail. And that's how it was. Man, I just mail would come, I just put it up. I just put it up because I knew what it was what was in there. But yeah, but those are like some of the things I had: student loans, utility bills, 403b, finance car, my mortgage. Didn't have credit card. Had some collection, had a couple of items in collections. But what I did again, put my listening to Dave Ramsey helped me out a lot. Put my items in order from the smallest debt to the largest debt. From there, I just went hard on it. Just went hard on it, and I knocked out those loans on my retirement account. Knocked that out. Was able to take the money I was putting towards that, and then started knock down the utility bills that I had. Knocked that out. From there, then I just went hard on the finance car that I had. I think at that time I owed like $7,000 on that, and it took me like 5-6 months to pay that off. And I went hard on it. I took, like, at the time it was around. I paid it off like in April. I had started like really after I had knocked out all the other things, like the three loans and the utility bad past due on that. Got caught up with that. Then I was able to attack the car. I believe I started that in, I want to say October or November of, I believe it was 2022. Yeah, it was 2022. Yeah, it was 2022. So like around in 2022, what's this, 25? So 24, 23. So yeah, 2020, might have been 2022. Yeah. But anyway, in 2022, I knocked that out. But I had like maybe like $7,000 by the time I got to that. And I was using my tax refund. I used that. And that's another thing. A lot of people, when they get their tax refund, they just want to splurge. And because they think that's like free money. And it's not. Your tax refund is not free money. That's money that you already worked for. It's just that the government, they took too much out your check and they're giving you money back. Right. So this is why it's good to know make sure your tax exemptions, know how you're doing that when you're doing your W-2s, when you're filling that out, because you don't want a large refund. Because when you get a large refund, that means, again, the government took too much money out. And I would rather have my money throughout the year. That way I can do with that money what I choose to, whether it's pay off debt, save, invest, as opposed to giving the government a interest-free loan. And then at the end of the year, they give me, or the next year, they give me back my own money. And I could have been earning interest on that money during the time that they had it throughout that tax year. So, but I used my tax return to pay off my debt, that car note, and then I just went hard on that. And then from there, like the student loans, I just started going hard in on that. And thankfully, when I was really attacking my student loans, that was during COVID, where they had the no interest on your loans, and they had that for a couple of years. And a lot of people during that time, they didn't take advantage of that. And before I woke up, and I remember specifically that getting that email when they first said that student loan payments are on pause, no interest will be accrued during this time. And in my mind, I'm thinking, bet I got extra money. But how can I say I had extra money when I wasn't even making payments on the student loans to begin with? So I was asleep. I was an unconscious slave, didn't even know. So, but that was my mentality, and a lot of people had that mindset as well. And I know, well, I can't say a lot of people, but some of the people I work with, at least I know, had that mindset. But then I woke up, like I said, during the COVID, I woke up. And I said, all right, let me get to work on this. So I started attacking. After I paid off the car, I kept making. I just said, I'm just attack the student loans, just attack that, while there is no interest being accrued on it. And at the time, I had, I think it was three student loans, two or three. I had three. I had two from back when I was a student at Temple University in the late '90s. Graduated in 2000, and then I had another one. I had maybe a couple of years before, like 2020, I think it was 2018, 2019, 2018, 2019, because I had got my master's degree at an online university that I had took out like maybe might have been like $8,000. But I had, like I said, after I paid off that car in April of 2022, I went hard on my student loans, and I was able to knock out two of them. I was able to knock out two of them. And then the third one, I had been, for years prior, I had been trying to get the loan forgiveness as a public servant, being a teacher. But every time I kept getting rejected, kept getting denied. And then I had, during the COVID, they had loosened a lot of the rules for it. They made it more lenient for you to get the loans removed. So there was it was two. It was a teacher loan forgiveness and was a public service loan forgiveness. And I had been applying for the teacher loan forgiveness. And even during like the COVID time when they had loosened the stipulations, I was still like, I had applied for the loan forgiveness, but I did the teacher loan forgiveness, and I got denied that. And I remember I was talking to one of the sisters in the church, and she had got her loan forgiveness, and then we was talking, and I was like, "Man, like, I didn't get mine. Like, what's going on?" And then she was saying she was going to get something, like link me up with somebody. But I remember one morning I was sitting down. It was early in the morning. I get up early in the morning, like 3:30, 4 o'clock, early in the morning. Sometimes, like, yeah, if I'm up at if I'm up at 6 in the morning, that's kind of a late start for me. But I get up early, and that's the time I just sit, I meditate, I listen, I read, pray. But I was just thinking that one morning I had got up, and I was just up early and just thinking, like, why am I keep getting denied? And I was just thinking and meditating, just thinking about meditating on that. And then it came to me. I just heard you've been applying to the wrong one. And as soon as I heard that, I went online, I printed out the form, and when the light came up, went to Staples, faxed that information off. And as soon as I was at the Staples, the sister from the church had sent me some information on the person she was going to try to link me up with. And I had, and I was already on it though, because I knew what I had didn't be. And that's what I mean. I often say that the answers come in silence. I often say that the answers come in silence. And a lot of times we have a lot of noise going on around us. There's a lot of noise going on around us. And as a result of the noise, so much noise that's going on around us, we can't hear. We can't hear because there's so much noise going on around us. We can't hear. And this is why it's important that you take time out and just sit in silence, because you got a lot of noise, a lot of chitter chatter going on. A lot of people out here giving poor financial advice. A lot of people out here giving advice about finances that don't make sense. And at one time, I was amongst one of those that was listening to people giving poor advice. It's because it's a lot of noise. It's everywhere. Invest in this stock, invest in this Bitcoin, this cryptocurrency. Take out debt, use other people's money. Don't use your own money, use other people's money. A lot of noise. And when you got all that noise in your ear, it makes it hard to really hear. And that's what I said. That's why I said COVID for me, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. And because it gave me time to just stop. Because when you constantly working, and then you get home and then you're tired, so you barely want to do anything because you've been working all day, and then you got to get up and do it all over again. It doesn't give you time to reflect, to think. And then like the only time you do have is maybe on a Saturday, Sunday. And during that, on the weekends, you got so much you have to do that you didn't do throughout the week. So now you really don't have that time to sit, listen, reflect, think, make a plan to escape. Because Saturdays is all pretty much spent. You're doing what you couldn't do out the week. Sunday, you do what you got to do, maybe go to church or whatever. If you're not in the church, you just, whatever. You might just want to just do nothing, but sit on the couch and watch TV. So that's just what? Just noise, you know. But by the time you on that Sunday, by a certain time of the day, it's like your mind is already gone to work. You're already thinking about the next week at work. So now you really don't have, you're not utilizing that time to think, to reflect, to see what is the problem. Why am I stuck in the same cycle? So that's why I say COVID for me was a blessing, because it gave me time to just sit and think and figure out, why am I making 80 plus $1,000 a year, close to $90,000 a year at the time? And why am I still living paycheck to paycheck? And like I said, during that time, I had a lot of time to think. And back to my point about how the answers come in silence. And that's what it was for me. The answers came in silence. And like I said, so I was able to hear the thoughts and come up with a solution. And like I said, back that day with the student loan, I did the paperwork, sent it through, not too long. Maybe that was maybe like in maybe July of 2022. I think it was around that time, June 20th, something. But I got it forgiven like that same, like November of that same year. And then that's when I said, all right, now I'm going to go on sabbatical. So I say that again to say it's really simple. It's really simple. And as I often say, because something is simple doesn't make it easy. It's simple, meaning it's not complex as the media will make it seem like. They make it seem like it's a secret, and there's no secret. There is no secret. It's just very simple. The secret is that they want you to think it's a secret, so that you think it's something just so complicated to do, and it's not. I'm telling you, it's not. It's just that we haven't been taught, and because we haven't been taught, it seems like it's hard, but it's not. I mean, it seems like it's complex, but it's not, because things can be not be complex, but still be hard to do. Right? Which mean, like I often use the example of losing weight. It's not complex. Eat less, burn more. It's not complex and not complicated. It's very simple. But it's difficult because there are a lot of addictions that people have to food. And people are addicted to sugar, addicted to salt. And even though it's a simple plan, because there's a lot of things within us and a lot of distractions on the outside, it keeps us from accomplishing that goal of losing weight. So it's the same with your finances. It's not complex. It's really simple. Spend less than you earn, save and invest the difference, use the difference to pay off debt, save and invest. It's not difficult. I'm sorry, it's not complex. It can be challenging because, again, we've been programmed to believe that we have to have the latest iPhone, the latest purse, the latest car. We've been programmed to believe that these things are essential. And what we don't realize is those same things that we deem to be essential, that we want, those things are keeping us on that rat wheel. Because like I often say, debt, it ties us to that depreciating object. Debt ties us to the banks, and debt ties us to our job. So once you figure that out, then it's just a matter of creating a plan and executing that plan and sticking to that plan. So that's what I did. That's what I did. So now, like I said, I had like $120,000 worth of debt, a little plus over that. And this when I started back in 2020, and now I became eliminated all of my debt except for my mortgage back in 2024, I think 2023, because this is 25. Yeah, so back in 2023. So I actually started the plan. I started in 2020, executed it, implemented it, executed it 2020. It was August. Let me make sure my time is right now. August of 2019. It was August 2019 is when I started out. And then everything was done by 2023, except for my mortgage. And the mortgage, God willing, like I said, will be done this year if it be the Lord's will. And then I can say I'm completely debt free, and I'm not tied to a job. And all these years, I thought it was something outside of me that was going to get me to where I'm at now. I really did. And I remember times going into work, just thinking like, man, I can't do this. I can't do this till 50 something. because I knew I wasn't going to work in my 60s. I said in my 50s. Like, I remember going and saying I can't do this till I'm 56 or whatever year old. There's no way. There's no way I can do this. There's no way. And I realized that I was always thinking it would be something outside of me, like a windfall of money. I even was thinking, man, I wish they would just say, you know what, we're going to offer y'all, anybody with a certain amount of years of teaching, we're going to offer y'all early buyout. Like, I was just on that, like, just thinking, like, man, it got to be something to get me to keep that. I don't got to go in no more and do this because I was just tired. I got to that point, and like I said, all along, the answer was inside of me. I didn't have to look outside to nothing else. And a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people do that. People I work with, they used to have a lottery pool. Everybody chip in, play some numbers, and all win and hope to win. And then they would be saying, "This is my retirement ticket." And that's what I'm talking about. Like, a lot of people have that mentality where they think it's something outside of them that's going to get them that freedom that they want. And it's nothing outside of you, but it's you. You're the only one that can get you to the point where you want to be at. The answer is always within self. The answer lies within me. The answer was lying within me all this time, and I didn't know it. I didn't know it. And like I said, it wasn't until COVID that I had the time to sit and just stop the 9 to 5, and just using that terminology, 8-hour work, 40-hour work week. I had a time to just stop that 40-hour work week because of COVID. Yeah, I was still working from home, but it was different. It was different. It was different because a lot of people, what they don't realize is 40-hour work week, it doesn't start when you clock in. It starts when you wake up. So it's really more than 40 hours because from the time if you got to work that day, from the time you wake up to get ready to get yourself together to go to work, you on the clock. So if I got to be to work at 8 o'clock, if I wake up at 6 o'clock, I'm on the clock. Why? Because I got to get myself prepared to go in. So the daily commute, you on the clock. And this is why people be driving so recklessly, flying, and I see some crazy things. I seen some crazy things when I was on my sabbatical. I would take my son to school every day. When I was, when I'm almost every day, and I would see some of these people just drive doing some dumb stuff, driving early in the morning, just flying down the street, going around traffic, going through red lights, in a rush to get to a place they don't want to go to. You see what I'm saying? And but what I'm saying is that they was on the clock. So the workday doesn't you're not on the clock when you clock in at the job. As soon as you wake up and start getting yourself ready for work, you on the clock. So in essence, it's more than 40 hours a week. It's more than 40 hours a week. But because our time is consumed by work, it doesn't give you time to just sit and think. But like I said, during COVID, it gave me time to think, figure this out, figure it out. Like, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know what it was. And then after that, like I said, working from home still gave me more time to think, have a plan, stick with my plan. After I created, just stick to it. Just stick to it. And that's the thing. You got to be consistent. Consistency and self-discipline is the key. You got to be consistent. And that's with anything in life. You got to be consistent. You got to stick with it. You got to be disciplined, be focused, and don't let anything distract you from your mission. Don't let anyone distract you from your mission. And then, like I said, man, this is like to be able to be at the point where I am now, where I'm about to escape working a mandatory job, and we got a few more months. And a lot of times people think that when you retire, they think that life stops. Because you retire from a job don't mean you retire from your work. Because you retire from a job doesn't mean you retire from your work. See, a job is just a tool that's you used, and you pay, you give your time in exchange for pay. So I'm retiring from my job of teaching, well, working with the school district. I'm gonna say that, but I'm not retiring from my work. I'm not retiring from my work because my work is bigger than the school district of Philadelphia. I've realized that my work is to teach people naturally and also spiritually, working in the church, working for the Lord. But your work is something you're passionate about, and something you do because that's just in you to do it. And as you're doing it, it don't even feel like a job. It's like a calling, like something. And some people won't understand what I'm saying, but like I always knew, like, even when I was like younger, like I always felt like I don't. It's hard to explain. I don't know what people think I'm talking crazy, but I'm not. Like I always felt like I had a purpose, and I'm not saying like I already know what my purpose is in life. Fear God and keep His commandments. That's my purpose. But there's other things naturally that I felt like this is what I'm called to do, and teaching was one of those things. Teaching is one of those things. It is one of those things. I'm not gonna say was. It is one of those things because, like I said, even though I'm retired from the school district of Philadelphia, I'm still a teacher. I'm still a teacher, and I know this. I know this, and I'm not saying that arrogantly or boastfully, but I know it. I know it, and that's what I mean. Like, there's something in every one of us that we know we know this is this is what I'm designed for. This is my outside of serving God, like that thing. You'll find it. You'll find it. Even if you don't know what it is right now, it'll come to you. But like I said, it comes in silence. But I always knew. I knew from like in my teens. I think probably in my teens when I was at Temple, that probably even before that, I knew that I was called to be a teacher. And again, I'm not just saying, and I'm talking about from a natural perspective too, because like I said, I'm not talking about for those that know me what I do in the church. I'm not talking about teaching the word of God. I'm just talking about from a natural perspective. And I will get in more into detail on that. I'm gonna start another channel about my experience with teaching in the school district of Philadelphia and how I even decided to become a teacher. And I'll share a little bit right now. But I had graduated high school in 1994, and I went to Howard University. I was there for about a year, and I was there as a business major, accounting or business management, whatever. I don't even remember at the time. But I remember sitting in one of the business classes, and we had to wear suits to this particular class. And I remember sitting in that class in the big auditorium, nice size auditorium. And I remember like sitting in there, like, this is not for me, thinking this is not for me. And I remember hearing a voice, and I didn't know God at the time. I was just young buck, didn't know nothing. But I remember hearing a voice saying, "You're gonna go to temple and become a teacher." And I'm looking like, and I'm like 18 years old at the time. I'm looking like, what? And that teaching was the last thing on my mind. I thought I was just whatever. But then lo and behold, things didn't work out at Howard because my mom couldn't afford to keep sending me there. So I had to leave. But I was down there for a reason, and I know why. But left Howard, make a long story short, left Howard, came back home to Philly and went through applied for Temple. Even with that, that's another testimony, another story. But long story short, I got accepted, and the rest is history, you know. So I knew at that time, during my experience at Temple University, when I found out that, all right, this is what I'm a teacher. And I'm not and I'm a teacher. And I'm not just saying that, that because I work for the school district of Philadelphia. Everybody has a gift. I believe everybody has a gift. I believe that. It's just a matter of knowing what that gift is and coming to the realization of what that gift is, and then being able to use that gift for God's glory. And I believe God has given me a gift. I believe that that's the gift God has given me. And even amongst people I worked with, and even amongst one professor, he even said it, like, you have a gift. And I was like 20 or something at the time, and I didn't realize what he was saying. Maybe I was like 21, maybe 22, maybe like 21, 22. And I was like, mm. But yeah, I believe everybody has a gift. I believe everybody has something that they passionate about and they would love to do. But a lot of times they don't go after that because of the financial situation, because of debt, because they feel as though I got to work to pay the bills, and they can't pursue that thing that they're passionate about and utilize that gift that God has given them. And as a result, they stay stuck. They stay stuck. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't. It doesn't have to be that way. And I can say that because I know that's how I felt. I felt that this was just it. Like, I had to work until I meet the requirements for what the system said I could when the system said I could retire. And I realized that that's another program. That's another program to keep you enslaved because you can retire whenever you decide you want to retire. You can retire whenever you decide you want to retire. And but you can't do that with a whole lot of with debt. You can't do that if you constantly finance and depreciating objects. You can't do that if you don't have a plan, a budget. You can't do that. And once I figured it out, and not just figured out, but once I implemented it and stuck with it, then I realized I don't have to work until they tell me I can retire. I can retire whenever I wanted to, and I figured that out. And God willing, June 13th of 2025, that is my last day with the school district of Philadelphia. And I'll be 40. I'm 48. When I retire, I'll be 48. My birthday is in August. Gonna be turning 49 in August. And I'm telling you, people think they believe retirement is the end. It's not. When you retire from a job, that means I'm just leaving that job. My work and my life does not stop. And I believe a lot of people think it does because they've been so connected to a job that their identity has been consumed with that job, by that job. And they associate who they are with that job. So then when they retire, they feel like, what is my purpose? They feel that they don't have a purpose. You are not your job. If you get it, I don't watch too much television, but it's a show on Apple TV called Severance. And if you get a chance to watch it, season 2 starts on Friday, January 17th. And I'm not like, this is not a free advertising. I'm just telling you, but it's an excellent show. And it shows, it's about work. It's about work. And it it shows the separation between your outer life and your inner life at a job. And if the show, you got to watch the show because it's really good. But they, in the show, just real quick, they had a procedure where every time they go to work, they forget who they are from that on that outside life, and when they leave work, they don't even have remembrance of them being at work. So it's like when they come into work, it's like they never left. And it's like it's never ending for them. So on weekends, they can leave on a Friday and their outer self doesn't remember who they were in the job. They know they have work at a certain place, but they don't remember who they were and what they did there. But when they come back into the place on a Monday, it's like they never left. And that's how people are with a job. It's like it's never ending. It's never ending. And it's like once they get so consumed by their job that they forget who they are. They don't know who they are outside of that job because they've been so associated and connected to that job that they lose their self-identity. And that's how many people are. And I say this because it's true. Like I said before, if you ask people, who are they? Who are you? Who are you? And most people will say what they do. Ask people, who are you? And they tell you what they do. I'm a doctor. I'm a bus driver. I'm a teacher. No, that's not who you are. That's what you do for a living. But people cannot disassociate themselves from what they do and who are they. And as a result, when they retire, they don't feel as though they have a purpose. They don't know what their purpose is. And they think that life stops at retirement, and it doesn't. Life does not stop at retirement. People think, well, once I retire, I can't save no more. Why not? Why? Who said that? You can create. You can create something. Create a service, and you create a service for people. People will pay you for that service. So life does not stop at retirement. Life keeps going. Life keeps going. Don't allow fear, don't allow the noise from the outside to keep you from doing the things you want to do in life from a natural perspective. But again, the only way you can get to that point is you got to get out of debt, get your finances under control, save, invest, and then I'm telling you, you will be free. And then you'll be able to think clearly because you don't have that burden of debt upon you. You'll be able to think. You'll be able to think. And you'll be able to be free. And that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. Because I know, like, I never thought I'd be doing this. I never thought I'd be doing it. When I was making my plan and doing what I was doing to get my finances under control and eliminate my debt, I never thought I would be doing this now. Had created a service to help people, create a channel to share my experiences. I never thought I'd be doing this. And this is just the beginning for me. I know it is. I know it is. And this is what I'm saying. Like, your present situation is not, doesn't mean that has to be your future situation. You know, just your future is determined by what you do now. The future doesn't exist. What you do now will will determine the future. What you do now determines the future. And a lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that. What you do now determines the future. What I was doing back then, when I was doing it to, position, to, organize my finances and get out of debt and doing what I did back then in 2019, that got me to where I'm at today. Back then, today was my future. Now is my present. The future has become present for me. But the reason why my present is the way it is, because back then I was shaping my future, which is now. So if you're thinking about doing something, with you're getting your financial house in order, don't put it off. It's never too late to start. Never too late, no matter how old you think you may be. Some people in their 30s, they old. You in your 30s, you ain't old. You ain't old. You ain't old. Life's just getting started. God willing. You're not old. I'm not saying you don't have much, you have a whole life, long years left. I don't know, but 30 is not old. But the noise around you will make you think 30 is old. 40 is not old. 40 is not old. Age is just a number. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. So you're never too old to get started. Never too old to, do what you got to do, what it takes to be free. from a financial, natural perspective. But just wanted to come on just to test this live and hopefully uh, says something to help you out. And as I often say, if you're ready to invest in yourself, because you can invest in something outside of yourself before you begin to invest in yourself. So if you're ready to invest in yourself and become free from the rat race, get off that rat wheel, come visit me at truthinkcoaching.com. Schedule a consultation, sit down and see where you are, how we can help you. And then we can help you become free to do the things you want to do when you want to do them, instead of having to do the things that you don't want to do. Peace and blessings.